Hello and welcome to the movie podcast review of Nope. My name is Daniel. I'm one of your hosts today, and joining alongside me are my fellow horse trainers. I didn't want to call you Wranglers. My horse wranglers.
I'd rather be a horse.
Oh,
You could be a horse.
yeah, like a Ferrari.
Because horses have unique names. Horse wranglers.
What would your horse name be? Blondie.
Go get him.
Go get him.
That's not a good name.
Go get him. What you heard there, that is Anthony's voice. And what would your voice be?
My voice be?
What was
My
what would
voice
your name
would be
voice
this.
I haven't heard yet?
Huh?
What would your name be? A voice we haven't introduced yet.
My name is a horse.
Yes.
Brownie.
Well, I can't call you that.
Well, no one should.
Yeah,
'cause
no
it
one
is
should call
offensive.
you that. Brownie is Shahbaz. Hey, Shahbaz.
wait. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, Shahbaz. How about you?
You know, doing great. We just came back from watching Nope. We have an interesting story from our Nope adventures.
We did, yeah. You know what's so great? We're going to talk all about this movie very, very soon. This is going to be our spoiler-free review of Nope, so stay tuned for that. But going to the screening, what happened, Shay? What happened before the movie started?
Before the movie started?
Before the movie started.
Oh, yeah, it was literally before the movie started.
Yeah.
So we were sitting in our seats, and we sit in an area that has like reserved signs on it because we're press when you go to these movies. And this gentleman walks in and he's like, "Oh, you're sitting in my seat." And we're like, "Okay, but how? Well, how would we be sitting in your seat?"
Right.
They're reserved for all press. So we're like, "Oh, if you're press, you can sit at any one of them." Like, no, I bought tickets to the movie. And we're like, there's no way.
How did you buy tickets? This
can't
wasn't
buy tickets.
You couldn't buy tickets to this event.
This is not a ticketed event.
Yeah.
He's like, well, no, they scanned my ticket. And then Daniel, you're talking to him, and he's like, no, I bought it. And you got a glimpse of his ticket.
Yeah, he's like, look, right here, I bought this ticket. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it says Thursday on it.
And today's Wednesday. For
Today's
the
Wednesday,
audience.
the day we're recording. This is the day of our screening. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, sir.
So now this guy is negotiating the day with
Yeah,
you.
we're negotiating not just whether or not he should be in the screening, whether or not he should be sitting in Anthony's seat. Mind you, Anthony at this point is just having a great time. He's eating popcorn.
He's like, yeah, he's
Dude, I'm
deep.
watching and eating popcorn as this all goes down. Between
You were like, oh, is this the trailer? This is the trailer
were
for the movie.
the more vocal ones.
Yeah, and then
I'm
we had a friends behind us too. We had Matt from the Untitled Movie Podcast was there too, and he was just like, "Nah, man, like this is not right. Like this is
you can't buy tickets, dude."
yeah."
And
And then he literally showed me the ticket. I'm like, "It says Thursday." He's like, "No, it doesn't." I'm like, "It says Thursday.
And
Today is Wednesday."
this dude was getting heated when it didn't make sense. Like,
No.
again, at a certain point, I'm like, oh, is today Thursday? Like,
Yeah.
he's so confident about
Yeah.
it being Thursday. I have ruined almost everything that I was supposed to do for Wednesday.
Yeah,
at this
we
point.
are really behind. on
I've made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I wrote a lot of blank checks today.
Yeah. I don't know why. Were you
Yeah.
writing blank checks?
You know,
Checks?
you never know.
He was really adamant to sit.
He was.
in my seat between you guys. I
Yeah.
think he really wanted.
He
to
also
take
wanted
my
your popcorn
role.
too, I think.
Yeah.
He
and
wanted to take
what's
Anthony's role in the movie podcast.
he did?
Yeah.
He wanted to go get him. He
Yeah, he
wanted to
wanted
go
to
get him.
And the crazy thing was, there was a seat next to you, Daniel, that was open that he could have just sat in.
And that's
it
what I
was
was gonna
closer
say.
to the screen. Like for an IMAX screen, we were very close to the aisle.
Yeah, we were on the
And
aisle,
we can
yeah.
leave without being harassed by
Right.
people to get out and in. And so yeah, he had a better seat than the seat I was sitting at. But he was really adamant that he wanted to sit.
He wanted that. He
there.
bought that ticket,
And I felt like he was like kind of, you're sitting in my seat, you better move. type of
Yeah.
thing. I'm like,
He-
buddy, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we're not moving.
yeah,
Man.
and that's the thing,
We didn't pay for these seats.
They say reserved though.
My name's on this
Yeah.
seat.
And that's the thing, like there was a seat open right next to me, and I
Yeah.
guess he assumed either someone was coming for that seat or he didn't want that seat. He had his that seat right there, 39, J39, whatever row we were in.
I'm glad
that was his seat.
I am glad he made the decision to leave.
He did. Once he
made
realized,
the
hold
right
on a second.
decision.
I'm looking at a calendar, and by gone, you guys are right. Today is indeed Wednesday, not Thursday.
Yeah, weird argument. I just couldn't understand why he wanted
Yeah.
to negotiate the day of the week with us.
Right.
We're like, dude, it's not
attention
Thursday,
to your
man.
tickets.
It's, like, you have made a lot of mistakes today if you think
Yeah.
today is Thursday.
And
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest thing when it comes to things like this, because this has happened many times before, people being in the wrong seats with reserved seats and all of that. But at the end of the day, like, don't come off so standoffish, because this guy was ready to square up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was ready to fight for no
He was
reason.
ready to square up, and we're just like, listen,
There's three of us.
there, and we got backup behind us. Like, you just need to realize today is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Today is, the day you're still alive.
Oh, no.
Tomorrow. Okay?
Yeah.
So just continue with that path.
As he was leaving, though, we did tell him to check out a review for the movie so that he could figure out if he wanted to come see it the next day.
You could, definitely. He'll have that choice to do that. And of course, again, the movie today we are talking about is Nope. This film is directed by Jordan Peele. But before we get to all of that, as always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday. And watch out throughout the week for our review episodes and all the latest movies and series. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. If you're listening to this on YouTube right now, please subscribe, ring the notification bell, leave a comment, let us know what you think of Nope, because we'd love to hear it and we want to hear more from you. Some quick announcements. We do have some great episodes out on the Movie Podcast feed right now. If you want to take a listen to them, you could hear our thoughts on the film Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. You could hear our thoughts on the best movies of 2022 so far. You could hear our thoughts on Where the Crawdaddies see and sing. You could do both. So there's lots to listen to on the Movie Podcast feed, so make sure you check that out. Also, we've been really lucky to have some incredible special guests join us as well, too, including Joseph Quinn, Alan Yang and Matt Hubbard, Aman Vellani, Hayden Christensen, and so many more, and lots more coming, so stay tuned right for all of that. Now, today, the movie we are talking about is, of course, Nope, and we're going to be talking about it spoiler-free, so do not worry. Like I said, this movie is directed by Jordan Peele. You'll know him from his works in Get Out and Us, and the film stars Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and Steven Yeun. And Nope releases exclusively in theaters July 22nd, and I want to say thank you to our friends at Universal Pictures Canada for inviting us to watch the movie. Anthony is going to tell you what it's all about.
Caretakers at a California horse ranch encounter a mysterious force that affects human and animal behavior. Very vague synopsis.
Yeah, very vague, very short. That's literally just the baseline of what this movie is. And we've had a lot of build up for this movie over the last year, I'd say. We've been hearing a lot about it. Shay, I'm going to get you to start us off with your thoughts going into this movie, your thoughts on Jordan Peele as a director, and then which, of course, you thought of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jordan Peele. I think he's phenomenal. He's super funny, but also extremely talented. And this movie really, really felt like the culmination of, his time spent doing the Twilight Zone reboot and just kind of like, well, I want to make a third film and I want to make it a bit different. I want to branch out. How do I do that? And this is what we got. This movie is phenomenal. It is fantastic. There is a level of dread that brings this movie closer and closer to home. When you're watching it, you're like, I don't want to ever look up at the sky again.
Yeah,
because of this movie.
I literally was telling you guys, Jaws made us scared to go in the water.
Yeah.
Nope is making me scared to look up in the sky.
Yeah.
And that's how I was feeling with this movie.
Yeah, and I think what ties this movie all together, which we kept hearing about, is Keke Palmer's performance. And by golly, is it a performance. She absolutely sells it. I didn't even see a character on the screen. I just saw this person. That's it. Like it was a real person that I saw acting the way they are. And I loved it. She sold it. She was great. The movie is scary. The movie is beautiful. The movie is a spectacle. It is giant. It takes advantage of the IMAX cameras, and it's not a traditional horror movie. It's definitely like your traditional sci-fi scare. It gives you those elements that most sci-fi movies have, where there's this fear of the unknown that can occur. There's no stalker that's slashing people or killing people. It's literally just this fear of the beyond.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie does a great job of. It's got, again, phenomenal performances from everybody. But what I also love the most about it, and again, this is definitely something that I think us three love about movies. Whenever movies are about movies or movies are about Hollywood, that element alone really just sinks me in. And
Yes.
there's moments where you see them talking about working on Scorpion King. And again, a very niche film, but it's such a specific movie that it gained a laugh out of me, and it gained that connection with me, because I remember when Scorpion King came out and what that effect of that movie was. So this movie just knew all the right things to tug at.
And I think that's where I want to start with you, Shay. We have the story of we have Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer, who are taking over this horse like wrangling business that was in their family forever. Their great grandfather was like the first, man to be great. Still great, another great, to be shown on film, like of the black man on a horse, right? So like it's cool that there's a setup. There's also like, it reminded me a little bit of what Tarantino does, where it feels like this is an alternate history of like what we saw in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and a lot of his other films and Inglourious Bastards, where it's like, here's something in history where we're going to put our own spin on that. And I really like that. And, we have Hoyt van Hoytma, who is the cinematographer on this film. You'll know him from working most recently with Christopher Nolan on Dunkirk, on Interstellar, on...
Ad Astra.
Not with Nolan,
but still Ad Astra.
Still Ad Astra. He worked on with Nolan Tenet as well too. So you're having a cinematographer who's very familiar with working with IMAX cameras. You have Jordan Peele, who is quickly becoming one of the most, I think, dynamic directors right now working, who is constantly evolving his vision and bringing creative stories. Just like when we speak of people like Christopher Nolan, we speak of people like M. Night Shyamalan, who are almost genres within themselves at this point, where they could be auteurs and also tell big stories and tell amazing stories. And I love this movie. There's definitely moments in this film where I think it may be a little bit too long, or plot points, which we'll talk about very soon, that I think don't need to get the time that they need. But when you're in this film, I felt like I was transported for 2.5 hours that I was watching it. I loved it. And like Shay said, the same way Jaws made me feel about going to the water, I was scared. I'm scared looking into the sky now, because it has like that feel of like I'm looking at clouds. I'm like, is that cloud moving? Has that cloud been there all day?
I will now look at clouds and make sure that they move.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And I love when movies do that, because it becomes part of popular culture at that point, right? And obviously he did that so brilliantly with Get Out, and now he's doing more of a traditional type of, blockbuster science fiction film that has remnants of like Close Encounters and Jaws and all like very Spielbergian, it feels, right? But I think it all comes back, like Tashay was also saying, to Keke Palmer's performance in this film. She is brilliant. I love Daniel Kaluuya in this film as well too. He just plays that straight man so well, of just like seeing something and be like, nope. Got a huge laugh, got a great crowd reaction. I just wish we had more Steven Yeun.
Yeah, the budget on this film is estimated at $68 million.
Wow,
which is I think the comeback, or the money that it's going to make.
It's going to make that opening night
100%.
Probably.
Like they got a good budget for this.
They
in terms
did.
of what we saw on screen. And what we experienced, like $68 million is nothing. It is going to make quite a bit of money back.
Take it away with your first reactions, Anthony.
Jordan Peele. Like for me, Jordan Peele is a unique director because he brings movies you've never seen before on screen, and that's what I like about him. I like that he is ambitious enough to experiment with his stories, but also tell them in such a way that they make sense, or they have like a really deeper meaning,
right?
They leave an impact. And I think his last 3 films had left an impact on me, because I do remember them. And I think Us was not the film, like it wasn't the greatest thing, but again, that was his second film, and I still remember sequences from it. I still
very iconic still, right?
That Lupita Nyong'o with the flame, that sequence with her family in the distance, and it's just fires on the car. It was so great. So yeah, with this film, I was getting into it. I'm like, man, I can't wait to see what he brings to this movie. And he did. He brought like a level of science fiction that we haven't experienced on the big screen before. And there was a lot of tie-ins to other movies that we've liked in the past, like War of the Worlds, or even like Westerns, because there is a Western vibe to it. It's almost like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it focuses on a family that has Hollywood roots. And this was all written during COVID, and you can see that, he really experimented with the idea of a science fiction film that ties into a westernness to it, because of horses, and you got like the cattle ranchers, and living in the life of I guess underneath your father, especially for Daniel Kaluuya's character.
Oh, I thought you meant our Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel does live under his father.
He does.
Sure.
You know, my father gave me everything, and especially
all the horses he gave you.
All the horses that he left me, yes.
I think one of the things that you brought up as well when we were driving back was the fact this film really only takes place in one location, almost like a play in a way, yet it never ever feels like
not with those IMAX cameras.
like
no,
it's stuck in a movies that do that usually they make you feel stuck.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think it's the grandness. Like I was saying, the set, the person who found
location scout,
whoever found that
ranch
in that area with the mountains, did such a fantastic job because it just brings the grandness of this whole story. And you know, the cinematography in this film is using IMAX, and not just IMAX to showcase how big it is, but like the sequences really feel large, and it reminded me of The Dark Knight because it really focused on people in this IMAX in the IMAX sequences. Right. And you feel like you're looking at them, and you're staring.
You're looking up,
and like, holy
you're
shit,
looking up at the
giants.
Sky. Yeah,
his camera is so low, and it really focuses on them looking up at the sky, and the sky's so big. Very well done. I thought the sound design was fantastic.
The sound design is what I wanted to talk about, you guys.
There's a mixture of
not with the audience though.
Not with the audience, just with you guys here in the room.
There is a mixture of these sound effects that encompass how eeriness this whole situation that they're experiencing is. The chemistry between Keke Palmer and Daniel is just fantastic. They do play brother and sister, and you really feel like they play brother and sister. The brother is very introverted. He doesn't like being in the limelight, and you can see Kiki is, and you know, it just shows the dynamic of the family,
right?
And it sets up the like where they are, because it does have a lot of flashbacks to being who they were as when they were young to when they are how they are now.
But it never lingered so much on it. It did enough to set it up where you're just like, oh god, okay, here's a whole scene. It literally
that's exactly it.
Just what you need to know to move forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Because in the dialogue that we're getting in the present time, it's filling in those holes that we would have gotten in flashbacks that we didn't need. Jordan Peele trusted the audience to say,
and that's
you guys can figure this out. I'm not going to do that.
You get exactly what you get instantly what he's trying to tell you.
Right.
And this is what happens when you have a director, when you have a writer, and obviously he wrote and directed this movie, produced, and who trusts his audience to go on a ride. And this is how we push the medium of movies and film forward. Because again, I think of a movie like Inception, which one of the great 21st century sci-fi films. That movie was challenging for audiences. Now people get it. We're cool, but you have to have movies that push the boundaries like that. Tenet, maybe a little bit too out there, but at least people were able to consume it a bit more because we've been, privy to Nolan's work leading up to it. And I think this movie, you get so much more from it because you know what Jordan Peele has done before, and you see that through line throughout all of his films, right? And I think that's what makes it so strong.
100%. I think like even for the script itself, because it was written by him, it's fantastic. Like it got me. This movie was 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Around that.
Like I was hooked from beginning to end. Like there was never a point where I'm like, oh, this is boring, or I don't care about this part of the story. Right. Like it was really like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? I did find that there are parts of the story where they could have been removed because it didn't really add anything to the overall experience. Right. But like this is Jordan Peele at his most blockbuster moment. Like this felt like this is a movie he wanted to make if he was 10 years old, 12 years old. Like, well, Get Out was more of like that, I'm trying to give you a message as well as Us, but this felt like, I like sci-fi films. Yeah. I'm going to put it in with, this story that I'm telling, and I'm going to make it very Spielbergish. Right. Absolutely. And that's what it got.
And you think
with his twist.
And you think about, look when this movie's releasing as well. Both of Jordan Peele's films have released in February and March, right? When we're looking at, Get Out and then Us. This movie's releasing on the anniversary week of The Dark Knight Rises. and I only say that because that is another huge, big blockbuster IMAX shot film. And this movie holds its ground with that. And this movie deserves to be seen in IMAX. It looks incredible in IMAX.
Oh my
it is
God.
a spectacle to behold in IMAX.
It was so big in IMAX that I was like, has IMAX always been this big? There was like moments where I was like, I don't remember IMAX being this big.
And that's the thing. Our screen where we watch it, it's already a massive screen. And then when it goes to full aspect ratio, you're just like, holy cow, this is massive.
They did a really good job of keeping it consistent, because there are a lot of scenes like you see it like, okay, this is not IMAX, but then when they jump to IMAX, it doesn't feel noticeable,
right?
But you do see it becomes prevalent when you look at the sky, especially when the actors tilt their heads and they look at the sky, and the sky plays a big part in this film.
And that's what's
another big, it's like the villain, even though there are
exactly
things, but it is the villain of this, if you're an older person and you hate the sky, do not
hate the clouds.
Old man
yells at clouds.
Yells at clouds.
And that's what's so brilliant about, I think, using the IMAX ratios, that you're looking, as audience members, you are looking up constantly with the characters of this movie, and you are looking at the sky and you are seeing there is something up there. And we always, I always think about, the Batman this year did such an amazing job with showing us the darkness.
Looking at the shadows.
Looking in the shadows, looking in the dark. Is Batman there? And this movie takes place majorly in bright sunshine, some clouds in the sky, but we're looking at the sky like something's not right. Something's there.
It had
something's
me
up.
It had me scanning the static shots of the clouds a lot. Like I was like, okay, he's showing us something here, because this shot is way too wide. It's got to be wide for a reason.
Right. Anthony mentioned there are some scenes in this film that I think did not enhance the overall need. Yes, you could probably, write some essays and see the allegories and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But Shay, without spoilers, of course, what didn't work for you as much in this film?
Yeah, there is a subplot that involves, Steven Yeun's character that I think is interesting when you see it. It really captivated me. But when you peel back from the film, and no pun intended there, but when you really look back at the film, you're like, wait, what was that meant to be? And if you removed it, this movie would have been a little bit tighter and really been like a full steam ahead kind of film.
Right.
Because there are moments where it does slow down a bit when it goes into that subplot, where it's again engaging, but you're still kind of wondering, where's the payoff here?
Right.
It does show some development for his character. It shows some backstory there. And it was, again, great to see, because it was horrifying.
It was horrifying, yeah.
But then you still kind of have to wonder, where are we going this? Because the movie almost opens with it as well.
I wonder if true, yeah. In the overall scheme of everything, does this play
and I think a second viewing, maybe there's something that was hidden inside that that I'm trying to see. But that sequence just felt so separated,
right?
And you wanted it to be connected in some way, because I felt like that was why put it there? Why make this so prevalent in this movie, where you see it in the trailers, you see you know it's happening, but it doesn't lead to anything.
It almost felt like there was more to it that got cut out, so they just left bits and pieces of that subplot in there.
Right. But I think when we're opening on something like this in your film, I think it would have maybe played a bigger part in it. And of course, as we say, there's a lot of ways that we could dissect it, and there's a lot of ways that we could look at it and analyze it. And all of that has value, and all of that has merit. And I don't want it to sound like we're taking away from that.
No.
I'm just thinking in the overall, pacing of the film. Even though and here's the thing, I really like those scenes still, because they were really creepy and scary. But I also just wish that there was a bit more of a payoff for it, at least, that we could have been like, okay, this connects clearly with this, and we're having a bit more of a full circle moment with this, where it just felt like more of this is a little bit of an add-on to the story that you're being told right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Michael Abels, who is the composer of this film. He's worked with Jordan Peele on all of his films, and he had some really reminiscent to John Williams' score moments in this film. It felt very Spielbergian in a lot of different ways in this movie, but definitely the score, and as Anthony mentioned, the sound design, very unsettling, very, very much things that are going to be within me. You felt the vibrations of the speakers. You felt just that
the
drone
howl
in that bass, and just that.
A lot of it also is silent too, because Jordan Peele wanted to really focus on living in an area where there's not a lot of sound happening, especially on a cattle ranch, right? You just hear wind and
big sky.
Yeah, and man, those sequences where it was silent, but then leads to this horses crying, and then maybe you'll hear monkeys crying.
Oh my God.
You'll hear the big like horns that relate to the villain of this story. It all like works so well together, and it just feels so encompassing. You're just kind of like gathered into it, and you're like, man, I feel like whatever is happening on screen is very scary, or not very scary, but very, yes, it's scary,
nerving, like
it's unnerving.
Like you just don't know what to expect.
He would suck the sound out of the room in certain moments, right? Like you're watching, and then
you'll hear
sucked out.
You'll hear a horse like
a horse whinnying.
Sorry,
one corner.
One more time.
I don't know what
it was. I was like a dog horse, I believe.
That was a.
I do want to give a
I don't
quick,
like those sounds.
I do want to
sound designer now.
I want to give a quick shout out to Brandon Perea and also Michael Wincott, who play supporting characters in this movie as Angel and as Antlers Holst, I believe.
What a voice!
What a voice! First of all, absolutely. But they were so good. Like they were just they were just the right amount of spice that you need to kind of add in the film, and they added enough dynamics for our characters as well. I don't want to give away too much about what they did in the film, but they really just they're really great.
They're the type of, and they're not caricatures, but they're the type of archetypes that you look for in these type of movies. They're like, okay, here's the kind of lovable goofball, and here's like the more of the grizzled guy, and like they're those archetypes that you see in so many science fiction films and blockbusters that like you need these characters, and they're used so well, so strategically in this movie. Very, very great. Very, very great. Shall we get to our final recommendations?
Yeah,
I think we should.
Did you know NOPE was an acronym for this movie? Like it's like they.
I think we did know that.
The biggest thing of NOPE was like Jordan Peele played on the idea of like, because the cast is black, and there is always the tropes of the white people going out and like running away.
Yeah,
a lot of the NOPE is related to the tropes of black people not being part of a film that's centered on them, and realizing who or what they would do in a situation like that, which is a lot of the NOPE parts of this film.
Right.
But NOPE is also an acronym for Not of Planet Earth.
Yes.
I didn't know.
He tweeted that out, I believe, when the movie was coming out, because like earlier on in the time that he was writing it. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
I like that a lot.
I like that twist because it's both uses of it, which
it's a
is
great
really cool.
use of it.
And really quickly before we get to our final recommendations, I also want to say that, of course, Jordan Peele, for all the things that you loved of his work in Get Out and Us, this film also holds that through line, and there's a lot of moments in it that made me go back to Get Out. Just in the way, in the opening scene of this film, you see Daniel Kaluuya. He's on set. It's that scene we see in the trailer of him kind of like talking about, the horse and his family's background and everything like that. You just see so many of like the little like microaggressions that the black people face on the daily.
Oh, yeah.
And it just I'm like, this is like, again, I don't think in the hands of another director or even a white director, we would have seen that, because you're telling a story from a perspective. And I really like that. And I love that Jordan Peele has always said, I will always tell black stories. And I love that. And I was thinking about that throughout this entire movie, because you're getting a movie like this, but you're also getting a very modern and very realistic portrayal of characters. And I think what Shay said so well earlier is that, especially Keke Palmer, you forget that she is a character in a movie, and you believe that she's a real person experiencing that. And I think that's so
great
powerful.
acting. Such great acting. Like, watching her performance was like, I don't feel like she's acting. Like, this is real, not real life, but like
so genuine.
It's so genuine.
Yeah.
She did such a great job.
I feel like it was just one take for her.
Yeah.
And she plays like a charismatic person, so it's hard to like.
I love her voice too.
Yeah.
Her voice is so distinct.
She has like a swagger to her whole character, and it's shown throughout the whole movie. There's a scene where they're in the electronics shop, and she has a buggy, and she's talking to her brother, and it's just like, I'm so captivated with what she's saying.
Like riding on the buggy,
like it was
like
one take, because it's like a 1.5 minute shot, and it's just like so well done.
Yeah.
Really
Anthony,
good.
start us off with your final recommendation for Nope.
This is a definite watch it. I would recommend you go watch it. Really, really good sci-fi flick. Really good horror flick. It ties in all these genres that you might like. Especially it's Western, you got the horror aspect, you got the sci-fi aspect. But if you're looking for a unique story that you haven't seen before, this is the story that will lead to the timelessness of Jordan Peele's films, and that's what I like about Jordan Peele. Like, he brings to the table something I haven't experienced, and usually it's really good. And this one is a definite watch it.
Definitely, I'm right there with you. This is a watch it. Go see this movie in IMAX. It is gorgeous to look at. You're gonna have a great time with the story. You're gonna love these characters. And I think when it comes to original blockbusters and just original films in general right now, like, Jordan Peele is delivering. He is always swinging for the fences, and I think I respect that the most, because if you're gonna go big, do something like this. And on a $68 million budget, are you kidding me? This movie looked gorgeous. I really love this movie. It surprised me a lot, and I definitely just recommend go watch it. Go for the ride, because this is a great movie, and it's going to be one of the top movies of the summer easily. Shay,
definitely watch it. This movie will be talked about for years. It will be studied. It will be discussed. People will try to figure out more about this movie, and I think Keke Palmer is going to be a fan favorite by a long shot. Definitely watch it. Watch it on the biggest screen you can, which is actually IMAX.
Yes.
So yeah, perfect. Do it up.
I love it. Of course, Nope releases exclusively in theaters on July 22nd. I want to say thank you once again to our friends at Universal Pictures Canada for inviting us to watch and review this film early. Yes, as we all said, go watch it. You're going to love it. And as always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday. And watch out throughout the week for our interviews and reviews on all the latest movies and series. Make sure you follow us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at
hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca.
We have lots of great episodes coming your way in the next couple of weeks. We'll be back on Monday with a brand new episode of the show covering all of this week's news and all of the major announcements from San Diego Comic-Con, so look forward to all of that. That was This Time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.